Welcome back, and on this one we need to talk about the V model. So far we use VON to get values from a ref to the HTML, to the template, but now we want to do it backwards. We want to get data from an input to a reactive property. And for this, we need to create an example, we need to create a form and a reactive property. So I'm going to go right here at the bottom, and I'm going to say that we have a const, and then this const is going to be called form data. You can call this whatever you want. And inside we have just a ref with the values that we want to get from the form. So I guess we have a name of the user, and then I'm going to be doing maybe just the last name. Why not? Just last name. There we go. And if we want to use it, I guess we need to return it. So I'm going to say that we have a form data and then open and close. Now, of course, we have now the place where we are going to be hosting the data, but now we need a form. So I'm going to go at the top, and we just need to create a form, and then inside, I guess we need to create a label for this. I'm going to be using a label, and this one is going to be name. Then at the bottom, I'm going to be using an input, and then open and close. And I guess again, input is going to be very simple type of a string. And we just need to do some copy pasting right here. We don't need to do a lot of typing. This one is going to be the input, and I'm going to be splitting the elements with a line. And then I'm going to go at the bottom, and this one is going to be pretty much the same thing. Just going to copy paste. And this one will be last name, just like that. And at the bottom, we are still separating with this with line. And then I guess we need a button. And the form is gonna be very ugly, because we are not using Bootstrap, we are not using anything like that. We will in a few sections, but for now it's just gonna look very ugly. So I'm gonna say submit, and now we have our form. Let me just make it better. There we go. Now, if I go to our application and reload it, this is what we get back. I know, ugly, but it's going to work. Now, if I submit, it's going to reload the application. This is something we don't want. We want to handle the form with Vue, and we also want to get whatever we type right here inside of the ref property. How can we do this? Well, we do it with a V model. So I'm going to go right here. I say V model equals to, and then we are going to go to that form data dot, and then this one is going to be the name, and the other one is going to be pretty much the same, but it's going to be for the last name. So last name. Notice that we are not using an ID, we are not using a name for anything. We are just using V model, and then the property, and then Vue is going to do the job for us. We also want to handle the form, so I guess that when we submit the form, we need to catch the submission, just like we did before. So it's going to be VON, then we go to submit, and then dot, and I'm going to use that modifier, the prevent, and I guess we need a function to handle the form. I'm going to call it form, and then handler. I'm going to copy the name of the function, because, we cannot need to use it. And then I'm going to go at the bottom, and I'm going to say that now we have a function called form handler, and this one is going to handle the form. Now, we don't need to do prevent default, because, we are already doing it with the modifier, but, console log, and I want to only see what we have inside form data, and then I want to print whatever we have as a value, right? So which is going to be the whole object. If we want to use it outside, we need to expose it. So I'm going to return it. And that's pretty much it. If I go to my application, reload it, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. Now, if I type a name, enter a name, I'm going to say Francis, and then again, Jones. If I submit the form, remember Vue, it's listening for this. So when we submit the form, it's going to take whatever we are storing inside the property, the ref, and we are getting it, name Francis and last name Jones. So working with forms in Vue, it's just, very easy. The V model is going to, do the heavy lifting for us. Now, the V model is limited for inputs, selects, and text areas, which, are pretty much all that you need from a form. And a common issue sometimes that maybe you're using an input text. If you're using an input text and you're working with a number, usually you need to change it to a string. So with the V model, you also have modifiers. Let's just create an example. I'm going to do comma, and I'm going to use an H. And for now, I'm going to be using a string for an H. And then, I'm going to go here, I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste, and I'm going to do H. And this one, I'm going to keep it to text. Now, form data, and I'm going to go there, and I'm going to say H. Now, if I do this and I reload it, and I guess I'm adding the H. So if I reload this and I do again Francis and then Jones and then I do, I don't know, 50, and I submit the form, what we get is Francis Jones and the age of 50, but the 50 is a string. No, notice it's a string. It's not a number. Now, still, what you can do right here, you can do two things. You can do dot, and you can do number, and the modifier of the vModel is going to, do it for you. So let's do it again. Francis, and then Jones, and then 50. I'm going to submit it, and now we get a number instead. Still, if you want to change the input to a number, vModel still this can handle the data for you. And I'm going to do it again. And this is what you need to do when you work with forms. You just, do it over and over again just to test that everything works, that we still get the number. You do have other modifiers that are super useful, like this one. I'm gonna just go back to the previous example, keeping the text and doing the number. So you also have the trim, and this is again something that happens the whole time. Maybe the user is gonna add a space, or whatever, then Francis, and then let me do Francis, and then space. So the spaces count as a character. If I do Jones and then I don't know, something, maybe not 230, I'm going to submit. Notice the space will count as a character. So this is going to be posted to your server if you don't treat this. Now you have, a nice modifier called trim, and you will trim the empty spaces from the beginning and the end for you. If I reload the application and I do Francis and I add a space and then, add more space, I'm going to submit, and notice that we don't have a space right here. Okay, so what about checkboxes? And again, it's just pretty easy. It's pretty much the same idea. The only difference is that with the checkbox, you work with the true, false type of statement. And I'm going to need to create an example. I'm going to say input, and as you could guess, it's going to be type of checkbox. And if you want to add ID, you can, of course. I'm going to say checkbox, it doesn't matter. And I guess now we need to go right here and do v and then model and then equals to, and then we're going to be using a property that we don't have yet. Let me just close this because right now it's just, in the way. You can just go here and just press it, click it, and it's going to close. So the vModel needs to use something. I'm going to go here, and since we work with booleans, we need to do checked. And then I guess at the beginning it's going to be false. And then right here, we just call that form data dot, and then we do the checked. There we go. Now at the bottom, just to see what we have, I'm going to be doing label, open and close, and inside, I want to see if it's checked or if it's not checked. And we can do this live, of course. So checked. So if I save this, again, vModel is going to handle the true, false type of deal for us, and we can see it on the label. I'm going to reload the application so we can see it, and maybe you know what, I'm going to be adding a line. So I'm going to reload it again, and if I do check it, it's going to be true, and if I uncheck it, it's going to be false. And if, of course, we submit this, everything will be going. It will go to the ref, and then we can get it to submit it to a server, or whatever it is that you need to do with this information. So 50, I'm going to submit, and we get Francis Jones 50 and check true or false. And okay, so I guess we are done with the vModel, and it's again very simple to use. You just put it on your input, it's gonna do the translation for you, and at the end you get it from the form. It's that simple. And of course, if you have a lot more, maybe a different scenario where we need to do validations and all that, we are gonna be doing that much later. I'm gonna show you how to work with a library to do validations and use Yup also to handle the form and everything else. But we're gonna do that later. I guess now we need to move forward, and I want to show you styles because we didn't talk about styles. And you have a lot of ways to work with styles within Vue.js.